6.9.
Well, good evening and welcome to Hull and Back podcast here on Humber Radio and online on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you're watching us. Good evening to you and welcome, and thanks very much for joining us. I'm back as always. Jan's joined us tonight. Chris is back, and my buddy who I fight a lot with, Christian, he's back as well. Good evening to you all. Thanks very much for joining us. Evening to you, Chris.
Good evening. Thanks for inviting us back again.
Evening to you, Christian.
Hiya, buddy.
And evening to you, Jan.
Evening, AD.
Good to be back on the podcast tonight, and a couple of games to talk about. I know, Chris, you was on Sunday's pod, so you'll have talked a little bit about the game that we had on Saturday away at Coventry. So we might have a little bit of a discussion about the game that we had at Coventry. We'll also discuss last night's game in the Carabao Cup versus Wrexham. And we'll discuss a few other things that are going on at the club at the moment. But, you know, overall, I've been impressed with the start of the season. I thought we've started all right. And, you know, I thought that Coventry game on Saturday, we played well. I went to the game. I think on Wednesday after the pod, I booked my tickets. I did see you, Jan, walking out the stadium with John. I booked my tickets and I thought I'm going to go. Me, Mike and Jim went and watched the game live at Coventry. And I thought, to be honest, we played really well. I know he was at the game. Jan, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, if you'd said to me, will you take a point before we go, then I would. Yeah, they had a lot of possession, but like we said last season, it's not just about scoring, is it? It's about having a good defence. So, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. What did you think about it, Chris?
I think it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, when last Wednesday when we spoke, I predicted a draw, and we all said we'd be happy with a draw. I think for me, it's one of those, if you're a glass half full, glass half empty. The positives, we kept a clean sheet. So obviously a great positive. The defence is looking very solid. We didn't score. So for those optimists or pessimists, you know, you're going to say we hadn't resolved those goal scoring sort of weaknesses we had last year. But then obviously that was resolved last night with 3 fantastic goals. So yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy with a 0-0 draw away, first game of the season at Coventry.
Yeah, I mean, Coventry obviously was in the playoffs last season. They lost out in the semi-finals. They've obviously got a good squad there. They've got a good manager. I think Frank's, you know, had his times at places, but I think he's done quite well with Coventry. And I think, you know, ultimately he has them playing quite well. And I think there has to be credit said about Sergei for how he set us up in that game. Because ultimately, you know, I think the way that he set us up, the defensive effort was really good, and they're dropping back so quickly to defend when they need to, and defending in the numbers. I think that, you know, ultimately, to me, it just seems a different setup to last season. And even though we didn't score against Coventry, I do think, you know, we had some chances. I think that it's Carl Joseph's obviously one of the ones that's there to try and score us some goals, and I'm hoping the lad will come good because he's a nice lad. I like him. I just think that he's got to learn a little bit. And I think that, you know, ultimately he needs to try and take, you know, as much as he can from other people to try and learn a little bit about where to be. Because I watched him last night when he came on and he just doesn't seem to be in the right positions at the right time. And I suppose a little bit of that's instinct and you can't teach it. But hopefully there's some stuff that he can learn, Christian.
Yeah, you would hope so, wouldn't you? I mean, at the same time, with respect to Carl Joseph, I do like the lad as well, lady. I'm a bit like you. I think he works hard. He does well to protect the ball. A lot of running. You can see that kind of game in him when he has the ball. But he also comes across as someone that he has to play and work off somebody else up top with him. He's more of the kind of assist / hard work to give the ball to the striker who can finish it off. I mean, last season, obviously, he came out and said that he was kind of playing still with a bit of an injury, which I guess kind of makes a bit more sense now looking at it. But moving forward, it can only be, as we state, confidence, practice, a bit more, getting into the team a bit more. which is going to be a little bit harder now. Obviously, we're at Burnley, and I mean, let's go back to the Coventry as well, as you've all just stated. I mean, what a game that was. For me, a draw, perfect. Even though I'm not really looking at the result more than anything, I was more looking at how we played the game. It's a completely transformation whole City from last season to this season already under Sergei, and it's an extremely attractive football for me to watch. I'm excited, and even last night when we were in the cup, we'll go into it in a bit more detail. But wow, that was brilliant football to watch. That was really entertaining football, and everybody that came on it, and everybody that started, everyone that got subbed on later on, all put in a shift. I mean, obviously the dynamics changed near the end when we did all our substitutions. 4 substitutions is always going to change the dynamic of the game, either for better or for worse. And obviously the result ended up being what it was. But the football in the league, it just fills everybody up with confidence watching that, doesn't it? That's got to.
You would say so. You would say that it fills everybody with confidence. Don't forget, you can have your say, getting a few comments in already. So have your say by commenting on the particular platform, that's the word, platform that you're watching us on, or you can send us a WhatsApp message to 01482 772 663. I will show some of your messages very shortly. But yeah, I mean, we'll go. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the Coventry game. We can't go too deep into it because it was obviously covered on Sunday night's pod. I think we'd all agree that, we've all said we'd have took a point before the game. I think a point is really good at Coventry. And I think that, ultimately, I went away very happy from there. I didn't go away very happy, sat for 25 minutes waiting in the car park to get out and to get back on the motorway to get home. But apart from that, it was a good experience. I've got to say, by the way, the food is rubbish at Coventry.
Yeah.
Anybody that's coming to the MKM Stadium this year, away fans, you are going to have a right treat because we have got some great food. I can't believe that there was only hot dogs on offer at Coventry. I did not partake. They did not look very good. I got a bag of crisps and a cold drink instead, and I just thought, well, that is absolute garbage. They've got a lot to learn from Hull City about how to provide the match midway entertainment and midway food. I can tell you that for nothing. So that's just my view, by the way. Everybody else is entitled to their view, but if you like a hot dog that's got a stale cake and has been sat there for 3 hours, then Coventry's the place for you to go. Anyway, on to last night, as you just mentioned, Christian. I think that, what you said, is right. I think everybody did put a shift in, to be quite honest with you. And there's been a lot of people that have called the goalie, but I don't think the goalie had a bad game, to be quite honest with you. I don't think, it was terrible or anything like that. I think that when you look at Palmer, he's there to score goals. Obviously, we've heard that really Wrexham don't want him anymore, but, he's been scoring for Wrexham for a few seasons now. He's a big lad. And I think it all changed when we had to change the defence, to be quite honest with you. And is it, how do we say in Famwo?
Yeah, a bit like that.
Yeah. Famwo.
Famwo. He had to come on. And we can only presume that it was because they're trying to keep John Egan fit for Sunday's game against Oxford. But moving Charlie Hughes to the other side, I think affected the game a little bit for me. I don't know what you thought, Chris.
He missed the header, didn't he?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we looked really solid at the back. I don't know why he took Egan off. The only thing I can assume is that, Semi's been ruled out with a while for a hamstring injury. He wanted to get some minutes in Akinfenwa because he hadn't played as much in pre-season. And I can only see that being the reason. When you're 3-1 up, it seems like a reasonably sensible thing to do, but it had a massive detriment to the back four. They're both big lads, but I think Ollie Palmer must have been about 4 inches bigger than them both because there was both towering header, the goals. I wouldn't say the keeper was particularly at fault for either of them. There was point blank headers. Like if anything, it should have been the crosses that should have stopped. We should have stopped the crosses coming in rather than putting any blame on the centre backs. But yeah, I do think the dynamic changed, taking Egan off. Like I said, I don't think I've heard anything about injury or anything, so I think it was just you 3-1 up, you look like you're coasting, and it obviously came to bite us in the backside, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, although Charlie's right-footed, he does seem to play better, doesn't he, from that left of the centre backs? So, but yeah, like I say, we can't change it, can we? You know, in an ideal world, you maybe would have looked back and said keep Egan on, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it certainly is what it is. I'm going to come back to that, and we'll talk maybe more about that situation shortly. But yeah, Jan, you was just going to have your say on what you thought about, obviously the substitution and Hughes moving to the other side and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said today and I said last night, because obviously we were there last night. I think hindsight's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we had a 3-1 lead. Why don't you take an attacking player off and defend the lead? I mean, we should have stopped the cross. Can you imagine if that had been Louis Coyle that had gone across for that cross? And in the middle, Hughes should have jumped. I remember going to Charlton last time we played them away. It was a Friday night, and KLP, the smallest man on the pitch, rose feet above everybody else and scored an equaliser in added time. Now, if he can jump like that, why can't one of either Hughes or whoever else was in the middle there for that header? I mean, there were opportunities to cut it out, and we didn't. And my thing is that I said last week, I think there's a fragility in this defence. And we know Jay has had one game and he's going to be out for how long? He was having a scan today, wasn't he, on his hamstring? Sheffield Wednesday don't rate the defender there. Well, give the guy a chance. He's only had that game when he came on last night. It was cold when he came on, and he came on for a few minutes. But it ain't looking good. We haven't got defenders on there now, central defenders, that have played 40-odd games season in, season out for years, like we had with Macca and Jones.
I agree with you totally. I was going to talk about it, and seeing as you brought it up, Jan, we will talk about it. Ajayi looks really good, but I don't think he's done 40 games in 3 seasons. Obviously, when you look at Jones, he did 40 games last season. Macca can do 40 games in a season. It seems a little bit silly letting both of them go, doesn't it? I mean, if you'd have kept one of them back, even if it was like, you want to get the money because you're after the £3 million to get for Jones, but keep Macca because you've only got £500,000 for him. We're losing more than that a week. So, to me, why would you let Macca go when you know that he's good for 40 games and the players that are coming in, you don't know are good for 40 games? And now we're in a little bit of a delicate position, aren't we, Christian?
Slightly. I understand, and I do agree on those kind of points where we know that I could do it. But with respect to Macca's always been that kind of backup for Hull. Yeah. He has, and I think it's definitely his time to kind of go somewhere else and kind of be in the limelight a lot more and be that kind of main starter. And so I do think he deserved his move, but I understand with that. And I think with Jones, again, I agree. He is that kind of 40-game kind of player. He always has been for us. The Rolls Royce of centre backs for Hull City. I think though, obviously we've just got rid of him this season, but I think it was the right time.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah.
I think we've just. I feel if we kept hold of Jones, his kind of stock value may start to decline around about now, and I think we've just got rid of him just at the right time of where. Thank you very much for your service. Enjoy the rest of your career situation. And with the players that we've got in, I agree they're not 40-match players yet. They really, really aren't. I mean, Hughes, we can already tell Hughes is just going to keep going. So it's that kind of rotational centre-back next to him. I guess it's just a bit more time with who we've got. They've only been in the club a little bit of time. We're going to see what kind of connections. And we've got another 3 centre-backs, guys. We've got, Egan included in that as well. And I think Egan's going to be that safe, secure blanket to kind of rotate with Adji, with Semi, because Semi just looks like a unit, doesn't he? He looks like an absolute unit. And that game against Coventry, outstanding for me. He was absolutely outstanding. So I can understand why we've got him, and I've got no problems with bringing Egan on.
Chris, it's no point in being absolutely outstanding for one game, getting a hamstring injury, and then being out for 8.
It's an injury. You can't call when an injury is going to happen, though.
How many hamstring injuries
really
did he have last season, Chris?
Oh, I don't know that stat. Do you?
I think he had 4 or 5 hamstring injuries last season.
4 or 5.
So you're signing a player that's had 4 or 5 hamstring injuries the season before. You're bringing him in. You're letting a player go that's done 40. And listen, I get what everybody's saying. Everybody's saying, that Jones wanted to go. He didn't want to stay. And I understand that, if a player doesn't want to stay, it's hard to keep them and things like that. And maybe the same with Maka as well. And I get that. And I get all the comments on this. But as Hull City, as a club, you're now looking at the situation. So we've got Egan. Egan, again, he's a little bit injury prone. So he could have injuries. I think you put, Jan, Hughes was out last season for about 2 months.
He only played 26 games, yeah.
Can I chip in on that one, though?
Go on, Chris, go on.
I'm listening to this. We spoke about it last week, and the 4 players have been knocked for these injuries. To my understanding, Egan didn't play a lot last year. It wasn't through injury, he just wasn't fancied because there was apparently stronger players above him. I think he had a couple of knocks and missed a few games for injury, but not the whole season like's been suggested. And Hughes had 2 injury spells, but one of them was appendicitis. Anybody can get that. It wasn't a football-related injury. So a big chunk of it was a clinical thing where he needed his appendix out. It didn't because he overstretched like Coyle's done and pulled his hamstring. So I think there's more strength in them than appears.
Hughes, I'll agree with you, Chris. Hughes has definitely got more.
The semi one, he did miss. I don't know if it was 4 or 5. I think he had 2 injuries at West Brom last year, but they kept him out for lengthy periods. So he did miss around half the season through injuries. But yeah, I think Hughes will. People have been saying about his injury prone from last year, but like I say, once an appendix, I think he's probably, touch wood, he's going to be playing every game of the season.
I saw them working with Hughes at the friendly game against the Spanish side. Somebody will tell me the name, and I'll there you go. I knew somebody would. And I saw them working with him at halftime and really putting him through his paces at halftime to make sure that he was fit and everything like that. So I do think Hughes has got a chance. He's a young lad. I just think that who else out of the other 3 is going to step up and play alongside him and get the 44 games. Do we need him to play?
I don't think there's anybody, AD. I really don't. I mean, our friends are Burnley fans, and he wasn't fancied there, but I don't think he's got the greatest injury record. I could be wrong, but why aren't we bringing Stan Ashby through, or the other young lad, and giving them a go? Because at the end of the day, I mean, Tinsdale played really well last night. In my opinion, he did anyway. I mean, if it's a cup game like that, put Ashby or is it Carmichael? I'm going to get the name wrong. So, but the other young lad, put them on and see how they do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we need to. Yeah,
McCarthy, that's it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's another one for McCarthy from Ashley there. And I agree with you. I think that we've got to look at that, because I don't think, I'm with you, Jan, I don't think that these 44 games between the 3 of the others that are going to get us through this season. And, ultimately, I know if Ajayi's fit, he's probably, first choice after watching him on Saturday. I think, he's definitely calm, collected. He knows when to put his foot in, when not to put his foot in, and things like that. But, we've got to hope we're going to get some games out of him. And this is, for me, could be the problem for this season. I like the gaffer. I like what the gaffer's doing with the team. I think he's very, he's got his hands tied behind his back, and he's trying to work with his hands tied behind his back because of this transfer embargo that we're under at the moment. We've still not had anything solid about what's going to happen with that at the moment, which I think we was all expecting to hear before now. Whether, we was going to have it lifted, whether it was going to be for 1 transfer window 2, or they was going to keep it as the 3. So that's a little bit concerning at the moment that we've not heard anything. And then this talk, obviously, about Kamara going out. As Coxie said, Kamara's new team was the one that I forgot the name of. Getafe is the new team that Kamara's rumoured to be going to. Now, for me, I probably wouldn't want Kamara to go because I think that there's a player in there. And I think, even the couple of outings that he's had this season under the new manager, he seems to be getting something different out of it. He's coming back. He's defending a little bit more than he was before. And 3.5 million quid we paid for him. Why would you let somebody of his age go out for the same money that you've paid for him? Christian, you're pulling a face.
Yeah, I mean, attacking wise, yeah, but to say he's doing a bit more defensive work. Well,
I watched him last night. He come back twice. He took the ball off him twice, Chris.
And he was also at fault for the second goal.
He might have been at fault for the second goal, yeah.
For not coming back and not picking up the runner whilst Dramé just ran it up the pitch. You see, these little things where, because of his age and he still switches off, shows he isn't a championship or regular or should be starting player. And we've had
a team that are in La Liga are after him.
They can have him and he can be on their bench. 3.5 million, get our money back. I am that type of person.
With a sell-on clause.
With a sell-on clause, yeah. Look, 3.5 with a sell-on clause. Take it every day. That's profit. We've had cover for a season. I don't feel like we can spend much more time waiting for somebody to get better when we need the player to be there right now. The club is in the stage.
So let me ask you this question, and let's ask everybody who's watching tonight. Thanks for watching, by the way. It's really good of you. Who is gonna take his place?
For us, we've got plenty of our youth.
Come on, then. I want to hear who's.
Tinsdale filled in on the left last night. We could easily move Ndala on the right, or vice versa. You've got Brown, who could play there as well. And Brown impressed everybody during the preseason. You can't say he didn't. I thought he would have actually made a bit more of a cameo last night, if I'm honest with you. So straight away, there's 3 players. We've got Gelhard that can cover there for now until we know what's going on. Akintola's coming in. Balloumi's back in, 5 weeks? You've just given me 5 to 6 players there that I trust more than Kamara already.
I've been really happy with how Kamara's started the season, to be honest. I think he's started the season nicely, and I think he's done a good job, to be quite honest with you. So for me, if I was picking somebody for the position, I saw Nathaniel tweet earlier when he put his team out that he'd play on Sunday, and I think I'd play the same team that Nathaniel said. And Kamara was in that start, and he was on the right, and he'd moved Joe to the middle as the number 10 role, because I think that's where Joe plays better. So I think straight away, if you're trying to put Joe Gelhardt there instead of Kamara, then you're wasting Joe Gelhardt, to be quite honest with you. It's maybe just me. What do you think, Jan?
I mean, I'd add Harry Vaughan to the mix as well, I suppose, because what he lacks in the skill that perhaps Kamara's got, he makes up for it in grit and determination, doesn't he? So, I mean, I would be sad to see him go. I've been a big defender of him, but I absolutely get what Christian's saying. I had a chat with Justin Whittle about it, and he said, I won't like anybody in front of me that didn't come back and track back. And he has done it more. You've got to give him his credit. But he doesn't do it all the time. It doesn't come naturally to him. For me, I liken him to Grzycki. I was never a Grzycki fan because that was the reason why. Because, he could score the goals, no problem, but he never tracked back and helped, or rarely tracked back to help. So,
same reason I wasn't a fan of Jason Price all them years ago.
Oh, you can't say that about Pricey.
Pricey was amazing.
A legend.
Lots of people saying about Balloumi here, Chris, expected back at the international break. The problem is when a player's been out for that length of time that Balloumi and Miller have been out for, they'll come in for 2 games and then they'll be out for another 4 because they'll pick up a little knock because they're not match fit, won't they?
I think they're going to have to manage them back. So if you're looking at Akintola and Kamara, for example, now, Miller and Balumi will sort of start getting those 20 minutes, 30 minutes substitute appearances. After half a dozen of them, maybe they'll start getting starts. Well, maybe not even half a dozen, 3 or 4. But I think they're going to have to manage the minutes because they haven't had a proper pre-season, have they, with that contact training? So, I mean, I believe the training now from what I've seen and heard. But obviously, they've been out for a substantial period of time. So, yeah, manage the minutes, and I think we're all aware they'll potentially be the starters, once they've been back a month or so. But
it's only a short break, isn't it? I mean, we're only back for a month, and then we're off again for the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, we were saying today, though, I mean, are we expecting too much of are we going to be disappointed? We hardly saw anything of Miller, did we? Because was it the Leeds game he went out on last? Was it Leeds away that when he did it?
I think he was about the 4th or 5th game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Balumi was at Oxford or somewhere. We haven't seen that much of them. And then somebody chipped in with even Matazzo. Yeah, they looked okay in 2 or 3 games, but are they going to be like that for 20 or 30 games, or are they just peaking and up and down like we've seen? So I don't think we need to put too much pressure on them, or our expectations need to be too high.
Yeah, I think there is that situation of the pressure, and I think that ultimately we've had that situation where obviously now, because we have played well in pre-season, we started the season quite well. Even though I know we lost last night's game, when we looked at it at 90 minutes, we was playing the ball around. There was all A's going on. If they'd have just kept that ball for another 8 minutes, would have been through to the next round of the cup. So I think we're all quite pleased with how the season has started, and it can get to that stage where we maybe do get to a thing where we're expecting a little bit too much of them, and it can be a problem because ultimately we've all got to remember we are under a transfer embargo at the moment. We are limited to who we can sign. We have got a couple of players that we haven't even been able to register yet due to the embargo. So it's still not plain sailing for us, Christian, is it?
No, and that's one of the messy situations as well, obviously. I mean, Reader was really excited to be at the club. You could see it from everything that was going across. And I was really looking forward to seeing the young lad, seeing what he's made out of and what he would actually bring to the table. So I feel gutted for that lad, and hopefully that one gets worked out. But obviously the biggest one that we're all going to be looking at with respect to that is Gus. Now, me and you, obviously, Eddie, had a load of discussions about Puerta last season.
It's great to have you on tonight, Chris, so we can have a little debate.
We can have a good debate on that. And I still love the guy. I still think he's brilliant. And it's his grit, though. It's his determination to get the ball back if it's lost. It was his running. He was that kind of messy stuff. Don't get me wrong. Matazzo, for that few little games and few little minutes that we saw him, is a better player. I agree. But Gus was a player that we really needed last season, and I still think we may have needed him a bit this season. However, obviously, it looks like he's going to go, which is fine. I've got no problem with that as long as we get our money back. But then we can't do anything at the moment anyway, and we're still paying his wages until all this is rectified. And even when it is rectified, I don't have a clue what's going to happen with the restrictions surrounding him. It's going to be an extremely strange situation moving forward. I mean, I think the big hope for us at the moment, or what we're all expecting, is that the summer it's going to keep in place, and then in January it most likely will get lifted. That's the hope, and that I believe that's probably the more expectation. But it still doesn't explain what's going to happen to those two lads that we're still paying the wages for but can't register.
No.
So what does that do to us at the moment if we can't register them? But then,
well, as Ashley says, there is a restriction, not an embargo. There is a major difference. There is a difference, but it's still a problem, Ashley, in the case that we've got 2 players that we're paying the wages for, as Chris has just said, and we can't actually register. So it might only be a restriction, but it is still causing us issues at the club at the moment. It's not plain sailing at the moment. And it is difficult for Hull City because of this. So, I agree with you. I understand it's not an embargo. I say the wrong word sometimes. It is a restriction, but it is still causing us major issues when you've got two players that you're paying wages. And there won't be cheap wages, will they, Chris?
No, well, I think Redders is obviously going to be a lot less, but Puertas is going to be pretty substantial, I'd have thought. And yeah, like Christian's just said, I think that's the major one that's causing us the headache. I could potentially see we're just going to have to sell him if we're allowed to, and Redder potentially gets loaned out because we can't register him. I think, Christian, to your point, I think what the biggest hope or expectation is that it's kept in place for the summer and then it's lifted come January, but is it suspended? So if we break that rule again, it gets put back in place. If that is the case, I wonder, are we allowed to then sign players on loan without a loan fee, but with a future commitment to buy? Because therefore the money will be January or next summer, for example. So we might be able to start signing players on loan this window with an obligation to buy next summer, meaning that we're getting around that restriction, because the obligation will be when the fee restriction's lifted. If that is the case, I mean, we need to find out, don't we? It's well.
We do need to find out, and I think this is half the thing, isn't it? At the moment, obviously, we thought that. I think Baz had sort of said that he was thinking it would probably be Friday or Monday when we got to find out. It's now got on to Wednesday, and we still haven't found out. Is that a bad sign, Jan?
I don't know, really. Somebody said tonight, maybe they're contemplating whether the changes they're going to make to the restrictions. I genuinely don't know. But I read today, and somebody explained that they thought, the player is ours. So in terms of Puerta, but he's not registered, so we can't play him. But if he's our player, that suggests to me we can sell him. Are they doing that so that we sell him, so that we recoup some money? Because he became our player on the 1st of July after that period. But as soon as we register and then we're committed, we can play him. Is it to do with something that they want us to push him on? I really don't know. I'm surmising, I'm making things up.
It's really hard to say. I mean, Harry Oxley says that we have Slater, Palmer and Crooks, and Gussie's better than all of them. And as much as I want a Puerta fan last season, I have to agree with Harry that, Crooks and Palmer, I'm yet to be impressed by either of them, to be quite honest with you.
Palmer played well last night, but there's no end product.
Yeah, that's the thing, Johnny. It's the final ball with him. It's
his final decision, isn't it?
It is, yeah. He's reasonable on the ball, but he doesn't make the right decision at the right time for me. So Slater, he's had too many chances to go through and score goals for us and hasn't done. He was doing that before, but he just doesn't seem to be able to hit the back of the net at the moment. And Crooks, yeah, he hasn't done it for me yet, and Crooks. I'd rather have McCarthy in, if I'm quite honest with you, than Crooks. So yeah, I agree with you, Harry. You're not wrong in what you say there. Lots of other comments coming in. I'm going to get to some more, and Christian's going to talk to you for a minute.
No, I'm just thinking with respect to last night, I still think Slater, he had obviously a bit of a chance early doors, but then I think for the rest of the game, Slater kind of, faded out. He just didn't look like...
I think that's a fair comment. Faded out this fair
Yeah, way. Faded out. He just looked to be in no man's land a lot of the time. And I was getting, what was it? Kind of Ryan Woods. Was it Ryan Woods that we had? Kind of familiarity of running all over the
ginger haired guy,
yeah. And he looks like he was almost a similar style of player, like running everywhere, but not right in right position, not the right timings, not the right anything really. And it's really disappointing for me for Slater. I mean, he does get a lot of stick, and especially after last season, missing 14 chances from point blank range. And I understand why he got a bit of stick, but he's a worker. He runs the ball up the pitch, and it's always the workers that you like to keep hold of. But last night, I didn't see the worker anymore. And when I was thinking, like halfway through, I was like, I hope McCarthy comes on. I really, truly hope he comes on to just kind of do that sit and let everybody else kind of push up a bit more and do a bit more around there. So I agree with like what we're saying. We're saying Gus and McCarthy in my head would be a really interesting kind of setup together. But again, we can't see Gus, and I don't know if we ever will.
Taking Lundstrom out, Christian.
Taking Lundstrom out. Well, I'd say you could push on a rotation a lot more. You've got to think sub-wise. It would always happen. Somewhat like Lundstrom. I don't see Lundstrom playing every game week in, week out.
No.
At all. You just can't see that. So you've got to have plan B.
Sorry, I thought you were talking in
No. I don't mean as in that would be my starting. Sorry to everybody that may have thought that. I don't mean it in that way. What I'm trying to put across is we've just had a discussion about how the defense can play every game and who would go well together. Well, in the central partnership, I mean, something like that would actually be quite attractive for me to see because McCarthy straight away impressed me, and he sits deep. He does kind of drop into that centre-back situation, which allows the two centre-backs to spread out a bit wider. That allows the full-backs to kind of push on more, which gives that option of Gus running around like a headless chicken, as he did last season, to get the ball back.
McCartney in the 6 and Gus in the 8.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be really attractive to me. And again, if no Gus, obviously when Matazzo's back after Christmas, he's going to take a little bit of while on there. That's going to change everything up when Matazzo's back. But we can't even.
It's getting these players fit that come back, Chris, isn't it? That's the big problem when you've got them players out for that amount of time with an ACL, coming back in, playing a few games, going back out again. That is the thing. He's trying. I mean, we've got 3 massively good players there, but it's going to take until next season to have them back in fully fit and raring to go. So although we might have them back in a bit this season, we aren't going to see the best of them this season until they've got a lot of fitness into them and played some actual contact games and been hit a few times and see how well they take it. Because we've seen it before with players. It takes them a while to come back from an ACL. And, they're nervous about it as well as the players when they've had an ACL. They don't want anything like that to happen again because of how long they've been out. So then they've got to get used to playing again and get used to what contact they can have and used to this thing that, you can get whacked and you're not going to do an ACL again and things like that. So I think it's really difficult when you've had that injury. And to have 3 in a season was, absolutely crazy. And so 3 of the best players that we had was absolutely crazy as well. But it is going to take time. I've got Andrew Scott who's messaging on the WhatsApp 01482 772 663. He said that he's surprised that we're going to be getting what we paid for Kamara. He's never looked interested in City. He doesn't know who will replace him, but we are reported to bring somebody else in as well as Akintola. And we don't want a suspended ban. We've done most of this month, so a reduction to 1 window would suit us better with the way the club is run. And I agree, yeah, it would be better that, but it's also, down to the EFL and what they want to give us. And, the EFL will decide how bad it was and decide where we are at the moment and what the finance is like, because ultimately we can sit on here and we can say lots of different things, but we haven't got a clue what the finances are like. And, the EFL will have a lot better idea than what we've got, to be quite honest with you. So I think that it's difficult to sort of say, and we're all sitting and waiting and I suppose hoping that something's going to come good for us, Chris.
Yeah, you've nailed it, haven't you? There's lots of if, buts, and maybes. And like I say, I mean, I've seen lots of stuff on social media about with the players we've brought in, under the restrictions, some great transfers, and what if everybody was fit, how strong the team would be. And on paper it looks great. We've got to keep them all fit, as we've said. We're going to have to manage minutes for these people coming back. And I think a lot of it, on top of what you said, AD, is like that confidence thing as well. Like, if you've been out for a year, I mean, as someone who plays basketball and I've had a couple of serious injuries, when you first get back into it, you don't trust that part of your body where you've had the injury, you've overcompensated and things. So, yeah, it will take a while for them players to get back fit. But, when they are all fit, we're going to look dangerous, aren't we? If we can keep them all fit at the same time.
Sarah asks, what's our Birmingham Sheffield United predictions?
Sorry, I had to mute myself there with a little giggle.
Well done for muting yourself. We don't want any problems this week. We want it to be all plain sailing, no problems at all.
Yeah, I mean, Birmingham look like a good squad, don't they? Let's be honest with you, with what they've got and bought in. So yeah, I mean, prediction-wise, I don't want to be overly insulting, but it does look like Birmingham will take that one after witnessing what we witnessed. I mean, that's a bit obvious.
I did say that, you know, and I put out a tweet. I can't remember exactly what I said, but me and Jan had a little bit of banter on Twitter the other day regarding my tweet, and I just said that after he's told them off on the pitch after the game, it just goes to show that me saying sack the manager at the end of the season was the right thing to do. And I think that proves it was the right thing to do. And anybody that disagrees with me now, I'm afraid whatever you say, you're wrong and I'm right. That's all there is to that. You're wrong and I'm right.
You know what, Eddie? I'm going to go with you. You were right, because I would never have expected to get someone like Sergei in and change the style of football as fast and as well as he has.
And when you listen to Sky last night, just to butt in, Christian, when you listen to the Sky commentators last night talking, they really said that they was expecting a different Hull City side with our transfer restriction. That's the word that I've got to use in it. With our transfer restriction, and they was amazed that the job that Sergei's done to have the team together and to be playing as well as they are. Like, you know, they all seem to want to play for each other, Christian.
Yeah, and that was, you're right. I watched the game on Sky, and the comments that were coming from all the commentators and the panels and people that were there was nothing but positive for Hull. And I guess they were a little bit gobsmacked. Could be the way of how they were saying it. They were in a bit of a shock at how well Hull were playing, how well we were managed, and how well, like you say, people were working for each other really well on the pitch. And it took them by surprise, I believe. And that kind of, we've all known it already from watching preseason games that we've been everyone's already written us off, and we've turned around and gone, nah, not from what we're watching. And obviously we know it was just going to get better and better and better throughout the season, because the more they're going to play together, the more they're going to learn each other's little things, ins and outs. And we're just going to perfect those little bits of the game that we need to kind of get the results. So to hear that from Sky, kind of one of those, and it's like a win going, we told you so situations. And moving forward, how many other people and how many other clubs and everybody else that's kind of written Hull off this season are going to change their minds? And I would love to see, I'd even say near Christmas, what everyone's predictions are for Hull then, because every single one of them's almost put us in the relegation zone.
I think Arthur must support the team from West Yorkshire that we're not going to talk about, as he says that Joe's glad that he's come back to us. He's also put that Hull City are his dark horse, and he thinks that we'll finish top 6. I hope you're right, Arthur. You could change and, you know, support the proper team, but, you know, if you want to continue supporting that team from West Yorkshire, then we'll keep taking good players like Joe Geldhart back in off you. Thank you very much for him, by the way, because we're glad to have Joe back as well. I think, you know, last night showed his quality again. And it's great to see him back in the team. I'd just like to see him played in his proper position as a 10, if I'm honest. Chris, you're nodding.
Yeah, I think when we spoke last week, I think all his goals we said came when he played the 10 rather than out wide. And yeah, I mean, we've already said how Casey Palmer's, you know, I don't think he's got the work rate of some of the other people in the team. He doesn't track back with that enthusiasm and passion that you want to see, that fight. I think he's supposed to be the one with the creativity, and he certainly seems a lot more creative than Abdush, for example. You know, that'd be the perfect player, wouldn't it? A bit of Abdush's work rate with Palmer's creativity, potentially. But I think Joe is potentially that. He works. He did, if I remember rightly, he got a few assists last year as well. So, yeah, seeing him in that 10, you know, like I say, again, we need to resolve the winger situation. You know, if Abdul Kamara stays and, you know, and Darla, for example, on the left, with that Joe in the middle, I think it'd look, we're going to look dangerous, aren't we? And him and McBurney already seemed to look like there was linking up a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I was going to come on to McBurney, but I was good. Yeah, and Darla had a really good game when he came on last night. He's a bit of a work in progress. He's only a young lad. Shame that he missed the penalty, but that's penalties is just one of them things that anybody can win and anybody can lose. I think, especially when you're in front of the home supporters, it's always difficult. He goes for power. It's just hitting the bar. If it's inside the bar, then it's a great goal because, hit it with a good power. I think he could be one that could come on quite nice. And McBurney was great to see him start last night. We obviously saw a little bit of a cameo appearance at Coventry. There's lots of swear words that I've seen used about McBurney, but he is that sort of player that we needed up front. And I think, to be quite honest with you, he's probably going to be our 60-minute man, and then we're going to be bringing on Joseph for the last 30 minutes and hoping that he learns a little bit from watching McBurney. What do you think, Jan?
Yeah, I mean, I do think also that he's not going to play every game, is he? Because he's going to get suspended if he carries on like that. So, and I think you've got to build that into it because he is.
Yes, he is.
And what about the guy?
But we need that, Jan. Don't we? Haven't
absolutely.
Had that
We've been lacking that. He's not quite a modern day Billy Whitehurst, is he? Because I think he's one on his own. But we've absolutely been lacking that, for many, many, many years. So, but the other thing I wanted to ask about, and I'm probably backtracking a bit here, but when we played the is it Getafe, the Spanish side at the MKM?
Yes.
When they changed the team, almost play every man, didn't they, in the second half or in 60 minutes or whatever. I think we changed our style of play when we changed that back four. And even last night, without Semi, it wasn't as quick flowing out of the back. It was back and forth and tippy-tappy again with Egan. And when Ajay was there, it was much faster. But, I said it last week and I'll say it again. I'll hold my hands up. I think I was wrong about Sergi. Again, it's early doors. But what he's got them people skills and that man management. And he doesn't mind changing his way of playing to suit the players he's got or to suit the opposition and that. And I think that is more important. I mean, some of the big names that say Birmingham have signed, that doesn't make you a team, does it?
No.
That makes you a lot of individuals that are really good. But our lads they like him from what we've all seen and heard. So, I think that counts almost like as an extra person. I only hope we can get the crowd behind them on Sunday that was like it was last night at Wrexham. I mean, I put on Twitter, they're in the Championship and they've got a non-league ground. It was a dump, an absolute dump. It made Oxford look upmarket and it really was scruffy. But the fans were brilliant. Their fans were brilliant. Our fans were massively respectful to the minute silence. I haven't heard a bad word against our fans. I just hope we can create that at the MKM.
Yeah, I hope so. 19,000 tickets I'd seen sold up to now for the game on Sunday against Oxford, and I'm really pleased about that. I think that we need to get it over the 20,000 again, and I think that Sergei, as you said, Jan, he deserves it because he has got a team spirit going there. They all seem to have bought into what he wants to do, so he must be doing the right things in the changing rooms and in training as well. So it'd be great to see, as Lee says, the MKM rocking on Sunday. It would be really good to see that, and it'd be really good to sort of get that atmosphere going and to try and make it a little bit of a tough place for teams to come, because I don't think we've made it tough enough for teams to come to the MKM. And we as supporters definitely have a part to play in that. So let's hope that can happen, because the team, for me, the way they've started, definitely deserve that at the moment. And I'm looking forward to Sunday's game. I'm hoping that we can play like we have done in the last two games, hopefully get 3 points instead of losing or drawing, and that'll send us all happy, because wins at the MKM Stadium have not been massively forthcoming, Chris, have they?
No, they haven't. We need that win, don't we, on Sunday? And again, can I just backtrack? Because we was talking about, wasn't we,
Yeah.
McBain? We was talking about McBurney and getting that 60 minutes, and Jan said about, the odd suspension and things. We hadn't touched on Destin either. He's going to come into that rotation in the front, isn't he? He's a bit of an unknown. He's injured at the minute. He's going to obviously, get off of this foot injury, whatever it is, when he kicks a ball. But he's going to be an unknown, and Sergio has really spoke him up, saying that his previous managers didn't give him enough minutes. Didn't play him. He was just coming on for, to close games out and things. So there's another option there up front. But yeah, the other thing, was just talking about that winning mentality and the spine and everything. When I was listening to the Wrexham game last night, and it builds on what you were saying, Christian, the commentators was using that word culture, wasn't they, a fair bit? And these are ex-footballers sort of saying, they were shocked at how well we played and how organised we were, but the players wanting to play for each other, and they were praising how Sergio's obviously brought like a winning mentality and that trust and things into the dressing room, and that culture that it gives the environment for players to go out and do it. And I think that's what they were trying to say. And I think if that's what we've got, a group of players that want to fight for each other, and fight for the win and the results. I think going back to your point, Eddie, hopefully that comes first win of the season at home on Sunday.
Yeah, it'd be really nice for that to be the first win of the season on Sunday. It'd be really good to get that at the MKM Stadium. And I think, the fans from last season, as much as I've said, we don't often create a big atmosphere there. Going out in the numbers like they did last season and finishing where we did, I think that, we really deserve a good start to the season as fans. And hopefully that the fans can, get that, and the players can sort of pass what they've been doing in the pre-season and in the last two games, bring it to home and get a really good start. And 4 points on after the first two games would be amazing. It really would. It really would be good. We've not got long left. We've got 3.5 minutes left on tonight. What team does he start with for Oxford, Christian?
That's going to be an interesting one with obviously the news about Kamara at the moment and Getafe. So we can't really, I'm going to struggle with looking on the right-hand side. No, Nathaniel, we are not mentioning Longman there, just so everyone can understand what's going on there. I think the back line obviously speaks for itself at the moment. Obviously, with Egan coming in, and the goalie speaks for itself, Pando. Giles has been brilliant. I can't believe I'm saying these words, but Giles has been absolutely immense. Drama, I think, has been amazing, and I've been wanting that for ages, him to be putting on that right-hand side. I just don't see how Louis Cole's ever going to get that spot back over Drama at the moment. I don't. Hey, do you know what? There's Louis Coyle. He can be your extra centre back for you there, Eddie, because he always likes playing at the back.
He has done it before. He might be the one for it.
There you go. You see, there's your man for 40 games at centre back. In the middle, obviously, it's going to be Lundstrom. I think we're going to go with a very, very similar team. I think Nandala's going to have to be on the left. I would love to see Gelhardt in the middle. In that 10 spot. Obviously, we all know who's going to go up top. McBurney, Lundstrom in the middle. And
it'll be Slater.
I want to say, I know it's going to be Slater, but I would really like McCarthy just to have that start in the middle.
I'd like McCarthy to start. I would.
I want McCarthy in the middle with next to Lundstrom.
Liam's right. Pandor, definitely. Jan, you've got 30 seconds.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with what Chris has said. The only thing I thought Lundstrom was blowing a bit last night. I think he's going to be top for us. I really do.
Yeah.
But at one point, I said to John when he came over near us, blimey, his face was bright red. He was puce. I don't think he's properly up to speed yet, and he's going to be but I do think he's. So I wouldn't disagree with anything that you've said there. I just wish, I'll tell you what, that goalie last night, there've been criticism, he can kick better than Panda can. I'm not saying he can do the other things any better because he wasn't great, but his kicking was better. It was more accurate.
Chris, you've got 25 seconds.
Panda, Drama, Egan. Hughes, Giles, in front of them two, I'm going Lundstram and Slater. If Kamara ends up going, you've got to go Geldart on the right, Palmer 10, and Dala on the left, and McBurney up top. If
I don't
Kamara
think I
stays,
I
I'd
think
put him on the right and Geldart in the 10.
Nathaniel's watching. I'll say to Nathaniel, I agree with your team, Nathaniel, that you put out on Twitter. If anybody's not seen it, then search him out. He's on Twitter. You can see what team he put out. I don't think it's much different to what's been said on here. We'll be back next week at 7 o'clock on Tiger Talk, on Humber Wave Radio, and to Hold 'Em Back podcast. It's been great to have you along. Thanks to you, Christian, for jumping in tonight.
All right, mate. Anytime. You know that.
Chris, thanks for coming back on again.
No problem. Thank you.
And Jan, we'll have an argument on Twitter this week.
I'll see you on Sunday.
I'll see you on Sunday. Have a great week, everybody. Let's hope that we're talking about Tigers win next Wednesday. Up the Tigers, and have a great week. We'll see you next week.